Aiboan, may you live long. Good evening from Sri Lanka. You are warmly welcome to the fifth version of the UCR Global Asia webinar series. Today, our topic is Asian paradigms of tourism. And here we focus on two unique tourism development models from Asia and the practical implementation of those models. One is the sufficiency economy model of Thailand, and the other is the Bhutanese model of tourism. They both are distinctive indigenous approaches used in tourism development in the respective countries, and both are widely known in the world as well. We invited two eminent speakers uh, from the respective countries to share their expertise with us. We have Professor Kannapat Kankaew from Thailand and Mr. Doji Dradul from Bhutan. Mr. Doji served as the Director General of Tourism Council of Bhutan and the Department of Tourism in Bhutan. He was the governor of, he was the governor of Gaza in Bhutan and the founding director of the Department of Agricultural Marketing and Cooperatives in Bhutan. Throughout his over 30 years of career in tourism administration and the community development, he has been an advocate for the Bhutan's gross national happiness philosophy and the high value, low volume tourism model. He has obtained a master degree from University of Reading, UK, and BSc degree from Peradeniya University, Sri Lanka. Professor Kannapat serves as an assistant professor at Burapha University International College, Thailand. Previously, he worked as the Deputy Dean for International College, Swan Sunandra Rajabhat University, and he has over 10 years of experience in aviation industry. Professor Kannapat is an editor of number of Scopus Index books and widely published in tourism, hospitality, sustainability, and management. He holds Ph.D. from the National Institute of Development and Administration in Thailand and MBA from Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. I would like to invite Professor Kannapat to deliver his speech on sufficiency economy and tourism development in Thailand. The forum is over to you, sir.
Okay, hello everyone. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, sir. We can see your screen that it is better you switch on. Okay, fine. Now, great.
Okay, so I will talk about the sufficient economy philosophy in tourism development for sustainability. I have outlined 4 issues for today. The first, I will talk a little bit about the concept of sufficient economy philosophy and how we apply in tourism development, and also the case studies and lessons learned in Thailand. And also we'll talk about a little bit on challenges in applying the sufficient economy philosophy concept. So first, we recognize the sufficient economy philosophy. It is actually this philosophy consisted with 3 pillars or cornerstone. They are moderations, reasonableness, risk management. For the moderations, if you see that individuals achieving for sufficiency without doing too little or too much, that's mean at the moderate doing. And for example, the expenses for their own selves in consuming or producing. So at the moderations. The second pillars or cornerstones is reasonableness. That means individuals have rationality, they are logic, you are applying the sufficient economy, they consider, they care about their actions, the outcome, what may occur from the outcome from the actions they practice. And also the last one, the three cornerstones is risk management. That means you have to understand the risks and prepare yourself to handle the impact, the changes that may be from your actions or future situations that might occur. So this is the three basic cornerstones or pillars of philosophy of sufficient economy. That means you are at the moderations, you have logic, and you think about the risks that might occur in the future. And also you think about your actions, what will become from your actions. Besides that, all the decisions and activity that you do, you should consider that there are two conditions goes along with these three pillars. And that's knowledge and virtue. Knowledge means that you apply your knowledge. You understand the relationship, the wholeness, the connections of the things, the actions that it will occur when you do something, and you need to plan and careful in all operations you do. And the virtue, that means you need to aware of the honesty. You have enough patience and intelligence in leading your own way of life and perseverance. So these are all the concept of sufficient economy and how we apply in development. Sorry. We use to promote the tourism that does not create a negative impact of the environment. That means we are at the moderations, we balancing between environment and human activities in tourism. And also we responsible for local resources. For example, we use local supplies, for example, like restaurant in one of the supply chain in tourism logistics. We use local vegetable and fruits in supply in the restaurant. We enhance local arts and artifacts for a souvenir and local energy water resources management system that we reduce the waste and pollutions, and also the preservations of forests and land. That's balancing between the development of tourism and environmental. We are not harm the environment. And also it is important that the community participations in managing tourism, like I mean, to protect the tourist attraction site in local community, or preserving arts and artifacts for a souvenir. For a sustainable, for example, the moderations are the first issues. We highlight on preserving the uniqueness of local culture and the way of life. We create a sustainable income for community and limiting the number of tourists to prevent overcrowded or over tourism in some specific seasons. Also, we promoting tourism during off seasons to reduce the burden on resources for sustainability. For reasonableness, we use to the concept for planning and environmental friendly, like a travel route that not harm environment, the travel routes that not harm the species or animals, or plants, okay, and also the environmental impact and community that have to be assessed before development of the destinations, the routes, or the activities for tourism, using the information technology to assist us, because now modern technology can also identify vulnerability area or sensitive area. So we can use technology to help in planning, to assist in planning and managing local resources to maintain in good conditions. For risk management, we can use the concept to build a resilience in local community. For example, preparedness for economic and social change, because sometimes we have to educate local community about the change that might come with tourism development, maybe negatively or positively. And also other factors that we didn't know in advance, or like future situations that unexpected situations that might occur. So we have to prepare how to cope with the challenge that may be or become risks to local community, to the tourism development. Also, we can apply in learning, promoting learning and development. So necessary skill, important skill for the local community, for the whole tourism industry, about the risk management. And also we have to think about the food security and basic resources in community, because tourists show when they visit, they consume and they spend resources in local community. So we have to aware the risks, even that I mentioned about the waste management and also environmental, that may be harm from tourism activities. So as the case in Thailand, I have here, we call Bang Nam Phung, community-based tourism. They practice sufficient economy. So they keeping the way of life of local people as it is. Let's see, Bang Nam Phung that established around 200 years ago. It's near Bangkok. It's not far from Bangkok, the capital city of our country, Thailand. And most of locals, people live in Bang Nam Phung are Thai, we call Man, Chinese, Thai Hmong and Chinese, Central Thai Hmong and Chinese. So we only allow tourists cycling. We have bicycle to cycling, allow the community and have an experience and atmosphere of the community. They will see the agricultural area that still practice in the traditional way. They have a strong conservations of natural environment during community, or people in the village, in the community, they are cooperative. They help each other to develop this kind of tourism. Okay, you see, they protect the natural environment and traditional way of life, and they also keep continuous on the Thai arts and culture that exists 200 years ago, long time ago. And there are many tourists visit there, and also the tourists understand how to behave according to the community rules and regulations. And so there are more tourists. That means the economic circulation result in the community. And finally, it's turned to sustainable development for environment, society, culture, and economy together. If one part of this development lack of conservation or retaining at the traditional way of life, that means the community lose its charm. Okay, lose its interesting uh, issues for visitor. So they continue conserve or preserve traditional ways. So attracting more and more tourists will want to visit this community. Another sample here we have in Ayutthaya, Pranakon Ayutthaya province. There's also the practice. They bring the sufficient economy theory into practice. They have the area. Living harmoniously with the nature, showing the way of life of Thai people in countryside, in rural area. Okay, if you see, they have a mixed agricultural area. We have the ponds, we have the rice fields, also another kind of plants and local food. And that is the another sample that practice sufficient economy in dairy, and they open this area for visitor to experience the traditional way of Thai people in the past years. Yeah. So what the lesson learned from the cases that I just mentioned? Okay, the importance of community participation is a must. If the community is not participate, they don't care to reserve what they have as a unique culture, as a unique way of life, it lose its charm. Okay, it's lose its interesting topics or issues for tourists to visit for sure. And you see, sustainability requirements, a long-term planning is not just a month or 2 months, but a long-term planning and good management is required. And also linking to tourism with local way of life is important. Now, for if local community they see the importance of tourism that generate a good money, so they will preserve and maintain their way of life as it is. Okay, and last issue, the conservations of natural resource and cultural, both natural and cultural is important. It's not just only the natural, but has to be cultural as well for people to learn, to experience. The challenges in implementing the sufficiency economy in tourism, sure, that there might be some resistance from commercial development because today we are in globalizations, many cities become more modern. They want to develop the city to be a commercial area. So there might be some resistance. Anyway, if you have a good cooperation with community, I think we can go through these issues and then how to create awareness and understanding of sufficient economy concept among business operations and tourists is quite a challenge as well. And we have to make them understand what we do, and also tourists know how to behave themselves, not harm the environment and natural, and also trying not to bring the new technology or development into the community, because otherwise the community will change and adapt themselves to become more modern community that will lose its charm and chic. Okay, and also we have to balancing the economic growth and resource conservation at the same time. This is all the challenges in applying sufficient economy tourism development. So guidelines for solving challenges. So we provide the understanding to communities, entrepreneurs that can be social entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, or tourism entrepreneurs that are related to tourism. Support. We need a support from government and relevant organizations that are promoting sustainable tourism. That's mean that we have to work together, private sector, public sector, and also community to develop the infrastructure development for sufficient economic concept, like creating environmentally friendly accommodations, or using bio-circular economy or green economy. And waste management and recycling is also important in the area, and wastewater treatment, how to protect the pollution from the waste, from the water, waste, and reuse tourism in community. So these are quite important and in solving the challenge of the environmental impact, and also I would say social impact that may come from business, come from private, or come from society. So yeah, this is I'm finished my presentations.
Okay, Professor Kannapat, thank you so much sir, for your wonderful presentation, and also that we know that Thailand is one of the leading tourism destinations in Asia, that the audience may have that lots of questions to ask, but that they have to keep those things to ask and discuss during our question and discussion session. Then that comes after the session or speech of Mr. Doji. Okay, now I would like to invite Mr. Doji to share his expertise on Bhutanese model on tourism.
Okay, thank you very much. A very good afternoon to everyone here. I'll be also sharing my presentation, so I don't know whether I can share with Professor Kannapat's.
Professor Kannapat,
if that could be.
Could you please stop your screen sharing, sir? Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much. So yeah, so it's really a big honor for me and an opportunity to be sharing about Bhutan's tourism model or policy, as we may like to call. And also like to take this opportunity in thanking Professor Amila for this wonderful opportunity. So I have a short presentation, and let me try to share this. Okay, so I hope you all can see the presentation.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Thank you very much. So as Professor Amila has informed, I'll be basically talking about our tourism model, Bhutanese tourism model, which we commonly call as high value, low volume. Now, high value, low volume. So this is what we call as our tourism model. And something that I'm going to share is will really amaze you all. Amazed with this policy. Now, believe me, this policy was formulated, envisioned by our leadership in early 1974. And that year, 1974, was the year when actually Bhutan opened its door to tourism. And 1974 was the first year when we received our tourists for the first time. And when we started tourism in 1974, and this policy was also adopted and implemented, high value, low volume tourism. Now, why I'm saying amazing is, now, as we all know that today, when we are confronted with, especially in tourism, the challenges like the mass tourism, the over tourism, and in the very recent time also, this has become a really top kind of a topic and challenge globally in the world of tourism. I mean, Of course, in some areas, of course, we are also looking for to increase our arrivals, but in most cases, the challenges are with the controlling the number of tourists. And also today, when we talk about sustainable tourism, climate change, so these are some of the issues which has actually emerged just in maybe last 20 years ago. I can say that. But 50 years ago, this was totally unknown. Just imagine in 1974 and Bhutan, when we were starting, we didn't have even one tourist. At that time, when we have adopted this policy, so therefore I say I cannot help myself getting amazed with the vision, the prescient vision that our Majesty then at the helm was the fourth king of our country, His Majesty King Jigme Singye Wangchuk. So in fact, this tourism policy was actually gifted by His Majesty. And today we say this is a gift not only to Bhutan, but actually to the world of tourism, the world over. Now, excuse me. I'm trying to change it to my next slide. Now, this is just one slide. Basically, I just wanted to share with you all. This will be the only slide, and then I have two other slides, a short video, and that's all as far as my presentation is concerned. But more or less, this slide will summarize what this high value, low volume tourism is all about. Now, as you can see here, this is grounded in our development philosophy. Now, our development philosophy, some of you might know, is what we call as gross national happiness. Now, again, this gross national happiness is a development philosophy, so unique. Again, that has been founded and coined by our fourth king, the same leadership who have actually also envisioned this tourism policy of high value, low volume. Now, this high value, low volume is basically grounded in this development philosophy. And I just like to share that in Bhutan, actually, anything that we do in terms of development, it has to be guided by within the framework of this gross national happiness. That's our development philosophy. And in a gist, what we mean by gross national happiness is basically it has four pillars. First is economic development. Second pillar is good governance. Third is environmental conservation. Fourth is cultural preservation. So these are the four pillars that basically constitutes the development philosophy of our country, which is being termed as gross national happiness. So therefore, our tourism policy of high value, low volume is also naturally embedded and guided by this development philosophy. So as far as philosophy is concerned, it is gross national happiness. Now, from there, we have this policy. We can call this as a policy. We can call high value, low volume as a model, as an approach. I mean, whatever name you want to call. But basically, this is the principle or the policy or the model that Bhutan has been following since last 50 years. In fact, this year, 2024, we just marked 50 years of first tourists to Bhutan. As I said, we opened our country to tourism in 1974. This year is 2024. And in fact, we are actually celebrating 50 years of tourism. So therefore, this tourism policy is also 50 years old. So therefore, I have it, by design, I have this font color as gold. So basically to, reflect, to symbolize the golden jubilee of this 50 years of this tourism policy. Now, this is guided by some of these, of course, there are many principles, but the important principles that guides this policy are, number one, sustainability. It also means basically quality over quantity. High value, low volume. We are not chasing the number. We are giving more emphasis on quality and quality. Less is more is, again, when you talk about economics, because again, in tourism, while we talk about sustainable, while we talk about high value, low volume, we are also not shunning the idea of economic revenue. we also want to get some revenue from tourism. So therefore, but how do we, or through this policy, how we are trying to get this revenues by this principle of less is more. Maybe with the less number, maybe we'll get more revenue, for example. And also another beautiful thing, principle about this policy is, it is beyond revenue and receipts. In tourism, we are not just talking about revenue. We are actually also talking much, much beyond revenue. So therefore, high value, low volume. And also, as you all understand, since this is grounded in our development philosophy of gross national happiness, we are not just talking about revenue. And it is inclusive not only in terms of the tourists that we get, but also inclusive in terms of the host, the community tourism, which our earlier Professor Kannapat has talked about. So community is very much involved in this high value, low volume. So we are talking about inclusiveness, not only in terms of the visitors that we welcome, but also the services that we provide.
Wait. Deepak, slow. Deepak.
Hello. Okay, sorry. I thought somebody was telling me.
Yeah.
So then also it is the principle, one of the principles is equitable and also immersive. So our tourism has to be immersive, not only in terms of the visitors, but also from the host side, the whole community, the whole nation, everybody, all, across the value chain has to be immersing, has been involved when we offer this tourism to our visitors. Now, strategy. This is again in a gist. Now, to get this policy principle into operation, what are the strategies? I mean, how do we ensure high value, low volume, for example? That is the main model. Now, one of the biggest policy that we have, strategy for this tourism is, we regard tourism as a national strategic asset. That means tourism belongs to the whole nation. The stakeholders of the tourism in our country is all Bhutanese people. Every Bhutanese people should have a stake in tourism. So therefore, tourism is a national strategic asset. So therefore, tourism has to be protected for the future generation. Therefore, tourism has to be really regulated so that the present generation will not finish up everything, but we also save it for the future generation. So when you talk about tourism as a national strategic asset, we equal this with, for example, the natural resources, the forests, the rivers, the minerals. These are all national strategic assets. So we also level the tourism at that same level. So tourism is a national strategic asset. And one of these practical strategies that we have been employing since the start of tourism to ensure this high value, low volume is the implementation of what we call as sustainable development fee. In other countries, they call it as a tourism levy, tourism tax, so many nomenclature. But in Bhutan, we call this as a sustainable development fee. Now, I'm sure some of you will know that we made a headline globally when we reopened tourism in 2022, after 2.5 years of COVID. We have increased our sustainable development fee to 200 USD per day per person. It used to be 65 USD for last 30, 40 years. Then after COVID, of course, we did a lot of, thinking, rethinking, and then finally we decided our sustainable development has to be increased. So therefore, we increased from 65 to 200 USD per person per day. It is not just one entry fee. Of course, recently, only yesterday, I saw in social media that New Zealand has now increased their tourism fee from 35 to 100 from October. They're going to increase, but that is just one time, just for a one time. But whereas in Bhutan, when you talk about sustainable development fee, we are talking about a daily fee. Yeah. But of course, now I like to inform, now $200 we have implemented for about 1.5 years. But because of so many other complications and challenges, because of the COVID, the economy is not picking up. So therefore, presently, we have discounted this to 100 USD per person per day. And as of now, this goes till 2027 only. And there's a possibility that it will go back to 200, or maybe it will even increase. I mean, you never know. Yeah. So therefore, our biggest strategy when you talk about high value, low volume, we are implementing this sustainable development fee. And then, of course, we have other regulations like every tourist is guided here. Like even the hotels, of course, I'm sure all other countries will have the same. But of course, here also we do it very seriously. The hotels are assessed. The hotels are graded, and they should have a minimum kind of a standard in place. And then our tourists, again, visitors have to be will be helped by a tourist guide, again certified licensed tourist guide. And similarly, even the tour operation are all licensed, and so basically this is kind of a regulated. It's not restricted, it's regulated, meaning when we, again, I need to clarify this, when we say low volume, it doesn't really mean we want to limit the number. The number can increase. The arrival total number of in a year can increase up and down depending upon the carrying capacity. Now, carrying capacity are basically guided by, for example, the number of availability of bed nights, how many hotels we have, how many guests we can entertain, host. Similarly, how many guides we have, how many tour operators, how many cars we have, for example. So therefore, high value, low volume basically means, it doesn't mean we want to stop. We want to limit our number. Our number can increase. While we say is low volume, but number can increase. For example, in 2019, we had 300,000. After we reopened, we had in 2022, 2023, we just have about 120. The numbers are very small. So therefore, our number can increase at least to 500,000, 600,000, no issue. So therefore, I think we need to also make it clear that when we say high value, low volume, it doesn't mean that our numbers are going to be so restricted. It can increase, go up, go down, depending upon carrying capacity. And that is so important because of high value. Whatever tourists that we want to welcome here, we want to ensure that they get the best services. We don't want to get a number, such a big number, and at the end, we are not able to provide them services. And then our visitors go unhappy. Okay, we came with such a high expectation to Bhutan, we hear so much good thing about it, but here everything is not right. So therefore, we can ensure the high value experience to our visitors only through the, we need to take only that much number which we should be comfortably able to handle. So therefore, high value, low volume, I think this is very important that we need to understand. Yeah. Then now visitors profile, the last one, the last parameter is, again, while Bhutan wants to invite everyone in the world, to come to visit our wonderful country. Is it supposed to be, we didn't tell it, but others tell us that Bhutan is the last Shangri-La on this earth. Shangri-La is something, is a utopian kind of a concept wherein everything is perfect, So people say, Bhutan is the last Shangri-La. Yeah. So therefore, of course, we want to welcome everyone. But then, as I said, because of our policy, high value, low volume. And the reason I gave why we have this policy is because we want to protect this for future and for the world environment, everything. These are all coming together. So therefore, we also have to be quite selective. Unfortunately, while people, of course, some people also critique us, saying that your tourism policy of high value, low volume is elitist, meaning you seem to prefer only the rich people. No, actually, what I'm saying is, what I would like to say is, no, we are not doing this. We want to welcome everyone. But then at the same time, to respect our policy, high value, low volume, we have to ensure that our visitors who come here are mindful. They are also responsible and they support our policy and visions. We don't want, nobody would like to have a visitors who doesn't respect the host country's policies and visions. No, so therefore we are saying basically we need to target our visitor profile in such a way that they are mindful, responsible, support policy, and also once they go back, they become our ambassadors, goodwill ambassadors. So this is in a gist. So when we do all this, what we are going to get is we are going to get a premium product and a revenue and ensure high quality or at a premium price, resulting in high experience, value, and yield. And then this also leads to sustainability which is ensured by guided tourism and within the carrying capacity of infrastructure. And finally, this will result in exclusive destination and exclusive experience. Yeah. Okay. So Professor Amila, I hope I have some time. I'll show. This is just 3 minutes. This is just 3 minutes. This is a royal address by our present king, His Majesty King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk. He's the reigning monarch as of now. And in this is an address to a 11th convocation of Royal University of Bhutan in 2016. And His Majesty, somehow during this address, he was talking about tourism policy. Of course, some are in our local language, but overall you'll understand because in between His Majesty also uses English here. So I like to have this honor to play this short video to you all.
The Chevelabajin, any Marashi, in the 1970s, na lo, do Gakab Tashal Pass meeting, a cheating on Lalim Matabal. That industry was still in its infancy. It's only after Dugeshiba's coronation that we started thinking about building a tourism policy. The Hanigalu Machi Dupsu, Tingan Dugeshiba Junanoval. Sundu Nabikablu, high value, low volume policy Chibutsu guess. The Anidi Kaches. She give me so much Gasamatovala, or Dupsu Jungumindo, Toto tourist Jatamba ke Matsubikale, low volume goes in of message. Kachiki Loginas, Gahab the Junkai the Divadi, Rochi Gahab Luches Amlashadu, Machina do Gahab the Rither Jagi Gahab, Shingam Hubs women, go Karachi, tourist Nonoji Naka the Virgin. The Tiki Missilu Kokabzo, Gari, Yakita Begale, the Drugita Madus says. The Debo the Natural Drubagi, La Betan, Tawa Madoji, Ripa Madoji, Jenkate Mimi now does. We're special. Tinga, long sumchu jiptuki Hamalera, Tinga Chala Zibdulu, Mapa Mashi, Tai Beniki Lime Bess. Titiki Cabin Jon, Titiki Nyanka Jon. Tengaji rib gimge. Tanjulu, Machiri Gahabdi, Sago Detotuchin Keniki Chalais. The high value, low volumes. 30 years on, that she give me one chip, na hubicale, Nachiki Gumbe one is a counting Nachi do such a keochi. The Name Same Yiche Bomchul. Name Same Ngera. They feel privileged to be in our country as our guest because of brand Bhutan. Amazing. Now today, when we have to deal with large numbers of tourists, when people are knocking on our doorstep, it does make sense to come up with a policy, high value, low volume. But 30 years ago, when people didn't even know where Bhutan was, nga tinga America go tangba jodalo nga Bhutan li so the Bhutan katile mo situngal UK lo jo ve nga Bhutan li so the Bhutan kati se midi mo sala tangani kanle te name seme maungen ji jingi te chala sun yamse cheto to be zena. That is what I mean, forging our own path, our country, our future, our destiny.
Thank you. So this is the last slide. This basically summarizes what His Majesty was talking about in that convocation. So let me, sorry. Yeah, it was suggested to us, suggested to us then that Bhutan would benefit economically from bringing in as many tourists as possible into the country. At that time, Bhutan was largely unknown to the outside world, and yet with the Dugal Shiba, the fourth king, at the helm, we had the confidence to make our own decisions to decide that our approach to tourism policy would be that of high value, low volume. It seems counterintuitive at a time when tourists to Bhutan were so few. There were many skeptics, but because of that policy, brand Bhutan emerged, and you see the results of that policy for yourself today. In the hindsight, we realize the profound wisdom of that decision but we could have easily gone the other way had it not been for the conviction that we had to forge our own path, our own future, and our own destiny, unquote. Thank you. So yes, thank you very much. So I've come to my end of my presentation, and thank you for your kind time for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Doji, for your great presentation, and also that very interesting. Actually, that is something quite different. If not completely, that very different from the majority of the part of the world, that the world is having something else, that you have something else. That is a very unique thing, actually, that your philosophy, and also that the very interesting thing that your the happiness philosophy in your country as well. And now I would like to open the forum for the audience. And we are starting our question and the discussion session there's a small thing I need to mention, that is the Professor Kannapat, that he has a sudden meeting. I'm not sure whether he is here or not, that sometimes he will not be able to answer the questions because that there was a sudden meeting for him. That, however, the Mr. Doji is available with us, that you can ask any question from him, and you can type in the chat box, or you can use the raise hand option, then you will be given the opportunity to ask the question. Okay, that the Mr. Doji. So I do have a question from you, that what are the main subsets of tourism you are promoting in Bhutan? Is it only that cultural, or that you are doing some kind of the eco, that the mountain tourism, or some other things as well?
Thank you, Professor. Yes, traditionally, before COVID, pre-COVID, we have been very much dominated. Our tourism was very much dominated by cultural tourism, and also the trekking, the environment, and the cultural. And of course, even today, that is still a strong point. But then during the COVID time, we did a lot of rethinking, and then we started to now diversify. Like for instance, ecotourism is now really going in serious way. In fact, we even have a big project under Jeff Ecotourism, I mean Jeff UNDP, where we are trying to promote ecotourism, and especially for ecotourism, we are planning to developing the eastern part of our country. Like our country is divided into 20 districts, and we have around 4 districts in the east and 1 district in kind of central. So these 5 districts we are actually trying to develop as an ecotourism destination, and that's one part. And then now more recently, I think, of course, not much work has been done, but by default, we are already kind of a destination for spiritualism and mindfulness. So we are also trying to develop ourselves, as a destination for wellness and well-being, which is anyway even globally also that's picking up. So Bhutan, as I said, we environment-wise, by geographic-wise, everything, we seems to be a perfect place for that such a destination. So we are also trying to develop wellness and well-being, and of course the other normal things like the adventure tourism, and these are all also coming in. And also we are also even trying to develop, promote the agro-tourism. Of course, community-based tourism is definitely there. Yeah, so in a way, all these new offerings are also in pipeline. But having said this, culture and spiritualism, the culture, the environment are still going to be our key attraction, because Bhutan has done so well in our environmental conservation. As you all know, maybe Bhutan was one of the first country to be a carbon negative. And by our constitution, Bhutan land area has to be minimum of 60% under forest cover. But as of now, we have around 75%. See, so therefore we are very strong in environment. So that will be always our key kind of attraction.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Your very informative answer. That yes, do you have any question?
Yes, sir. What
Yeah.
are tourism promotion strategies in Bhutan?
That Mr. Dochi, there's a question from that student that asking that the promotion strategies, maybe marketing.
Oh, marketing strategy. Yes, especially after COVID. Before COVID, we were going in a kind of a normal way, in our own way. But after COVID, things have really changed. We were, as I said, big policy changes like increasing the SDF tourism levy from 65 USD to 200, big jump. So therefore, we thought we really needed a strong marketing team, and in fact, we even hired an expat marketing specialist to help us in promoting Bhutan. And one is through our Department of Tourism. Of course, I was with Department of Tourism till last March. Now I am no more with the tourism. So Department of Tourism does the marketing with a specialist marketing officer. And also we try to do it through our embassies, missions, and consulates in other countries that we have. And we use through our marketing officers, we use a lot of the influencers and medias, both print and even digital. So we try to use, it's a combination of all the media and marketing strategies. And I think it is doing very well. And since last, in the last 2 years, I think Bhutan has actually been featured in so many magazines and publications. We have been getting a lot of recognition as a destination. So I think our marketing is doing very well.
I have a question. Mr. Sham from OMG, may I ask?
Yeah. Please ask, Dr. Shah.
Yeah. I've been following Bhutan, heartbeat and pulse for quite some time. And as Dalji Dradu mentioned, after COVID, Bhutan did introduce some drastic measure of like trying to, boost its income by incorporating the much higher, almost 2.5 times, I think, the SDF, the Sustainable Development Fund. And I think from the outside world, outside Bhutan, it was taken in a way which was not actually intended. Okay, it just like a good policy for Bhutan, but being implemented or incorporated at the wrong time, when the whole world was opening up after COVID, and with the economy of many countries who relied on tourism shattered. People were looking for tourists. I mean, the Bhutanese travel agents were looking for tourists, but this is like a sort of a barrier, a wall, which was put, and the impact of that is still being found today, because once the message propagates, it takes time for it to be, changed. Now, the message which I've been listening very attentively, high value, low volume, but does not mean the count of the, tourists coming cannot increase. These two things are itself like contradicting in one another. Countries like Japan and like today I read a newspaper about Greek and some islands, they have over tourism. Okay, in Spain, they have over tourism. So that is because they opened up too fast, opened up too quickly after the COVID. They are getting, economically now, but the damage to many things are being done. Okay, so the thing is like by that policy of having the SDF at $200 per day retarded the whole growth. What I'm saying is that the impact of this on Bhutan, on other things, are quite severe. In the beginning, we heard the professor talking about the self-sufficient economy. What I'm talking is during the parallel, Thailand opened up. They tried to have destination travel to different part of the country to distribute wealth. But Bhutan stopped, have SDF, good policy, fantastic, but timing may be a little bit wrong, okay? Because it was a sort of a thing which stopped the tourism. So what happened, what we see now is that a lot of people from Bhutan, essentially the people who were in tourist industry, who were in the tourism business, related business, exodus from Bhutan to Australia, to US for greener pastures. What is really still applicable today, Dasho, Radul, from the policy which you promulgated, the His Majesty's the King's speech in 2016, which is many years ago. Is it still valid with the gross national happiness? This thing, what do you call? Policy is a policy. Okay, I mean it's a government directive. Gross national happiness, is it still effective, or is there's a change, or there should have been a change, or the time has passed so long that you need to change the way you think in that policy, which now, I think nobody talks much on the gross national happiness. Everything is died down, and is that belief is coming in. Belief means you will survive, the economy will recover, employment will be given to the youth, the hoteliers, the 2-star, 3-star people will, get some income so that they can revive or, come back with payments of their whatever finances. So is this, I mean, what you promulgated, is it still active given the current scenario which has been created by the high SDF after the COVID reopening?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shadip. I think your comments I really respect, but of course it is very very deep and very extensive. You have said so many things, so I don't know whether I will be able to do justice in my response to whatever you have said. I may not be able to cover everything, but maybe few points that I can respond or try to clarify is first on the whether it was the right timing, to introduce such a policy changes. For example, increasing SDF drastically to 200 from 65. Now, this is very debatable. Of course, when we were also discussing, this was discussed. Even internally also, there were a lot of views expressed. Maybe this is not the right time. We are just reopening after 2.5 years. Now, if you want to do it, maybe after once things have recovered, maybe we will do it after 2.5 years, So there was a lot of debate. So finally, the committee, the group decided, no, this is the right time. But having said this, it is still debatable. Some will still say it was a wrong timing. Some will still believe it is the right timing. So we have both pros and cons. But having said this, it was implemented. And then at the same time, I think you all also know that the policy, once it has been made, was not kept as a carved in stone. So there was a changes. So now, as I already informed, for till 2027, it has been reduced to 100 USD. Yeah. So that is the first one on the timing. Then on the second, whether GNH, whether high value, low volume tourism, now because of all these changes, do you think it is still relevant? And now this is purely my personal view, okay? And also I don't represent government. I'm no more with the government, so it's just my own personal view. Is yes, it is. It is still very much relevant, and in fact, I get so much, amazed by the visionary policies that our Majesty have taken. As His Majesty have said in this address, 30 years, when he said this, he said it was around 30 years. 30 years before, actually, it didn't make sense, high value, low volume. Basically, it was 50 years before. But now today, it makes sense. Now, if you have not started this policy 50 years before or 30 years before, now if you want to start at this point in time, I don't think it will be so easy. But the fact is that we started 50 years before. And also, we need to remember that time, Bhutan was almost looking like a stupid. When Bhutan have not even had one tourist, when we wanted to reopen, start open a country to tourism and start with such a policy, high value, low volume, people then, the other countries must have thought Bhutan was really stupid. But today, looking 50 years down the line, I think that was not stupid. It was really a visionary policy. So even this time, when we reopened, when we made these policy changes, while maybe rest of the world must have thought Bhutan is really stupid. When rest of the world is trying to give discounts, offering, to come to our country and visit us after COVID, whereas Bhutan is trying to make a restriction by increasing our SDF, making it even more expensive. So it kind of looked contradictory to the rest of the, most of the destination. But again, going by the history, maybe who knows, down the line, maybe after 30 years, maybe this was a great decision. You never know. Only time will tell us. So just now, I think it will be too early for all of us, for any one of us to make any kind of a conclusive remarks or a decision saying that, oh, that was a bad decision, that was a wrong timing. I don't think so. Yes, we respect everybody's view, but only time will tell. And if you go by the history, I think time has told that Bhutan, what we did was in a way right. So maybe I will stop here. And as far as the development philosophy is concerned, well, maybe I think you are referring to the new brand, the nation brand, which we today during the COVID time, I think after during reopening, we adopted a new nation brand called Bhutan Believe. Bhutan is our logo brand, and Believe is the tagline. So Bhutan Believe. But before that, tourism had another tagline called Happiness is a Place. So that we have replaced with Bhutan Believe. But the development philosophy is gross national happiness. That has not changed. So development philosophy is still there. As I said, whatever we do here, any policy, new policies that we try to introduce in the country has to pass through this GNH, gross national happiness framework. So that is still very much official and strong and is there. But the tourism tagline, happiness is a place, has been temporarily replaced by, again, these are my own assessment. But maybe in future, again, it will come back. I don't know. But as of now, our brand is Bhutan Believe. Bhutan Believe. But yeah, GNH is still there. And it will continue to be there for all times to come, as far as I believe.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Mr. Dodge, for your comprehensive answer, and also that Mr. Sham for his comprehensive question as well. That is very interesting. And that there are more questions. That we have another question from Dr. Yahya from Egypt. That he's asking that what is an impressive way in social media marketing strategy? Do you apply social media in a kind of a innovative way in your marketing strategies?
No, I cannot think of anything special as such, but basically we are also using very much all the social media platforms. We use this very actively. The Department of Tourism has a dedicated, group to manage its website and social media handles and all. So that is very much there. But what exactly, special strategy that they use, I'm sorry, I won't be able to tell that. I don't know actually.
Okay, thank you. And are there any other questions? Any other questions from the audience or any other views or comments, please?
I think it's finished.
Yeah, I think so as well. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dorji, for your wonderful presentation and also for your wonderful answers, very comprehensive answers for the questions, and that kept alive this very important forum. Okay, and also that although that. Now we have the Professor Kannapat. Thank you so much for Professor Kannapat that he had a sudden meeting because he left, and that we are about to conclude the session. And everyone, please switch on your cameras and smile for photograph before the end of the session.
Yes, let's have a photograph.
Yeah, let's have a photograph. Please switch on your cameras and smile for photograph.
It's taking time.
Yeah, it takes some time.
So thank you everyone for your time. It was really an honor, opportunity for me to talk about.
Thank you so much for everyone for the photograph, and thank you for attending the webinar. And Sir Mr. Dochi, thank you so much for you. And let's meet again with the next version of the UCR Global Asia webinar series. Thank you so much for all.